Hi, good evening everyone. Today's session, we are going to start with the vSphere inventory object. Before going to start, let's quickly update our checklist. So yesterday on our previous session, we discussed the vCenter Server overview, vCenter Server architecture. Okay, so let's make it this as topics are completed. And we discussed the ESXi and vCenter Server communication, and also the vCenter Server services and vCenter Server build procedure. These all topics we covered in our previous sessions. And even the resource requirement we verified. There are multiple resource requirements, but depends on the vCenter Server sizing, either tiny, small, medium, large, and X large. Okay. So the configuration information we discussed yesterday, and the log file we can export from the vCenter Server support bundle. Either we can export from the VAMI portal or we can export from the vCenter Server portal. vCenter Server we can log in using vSphere client. Okay, these are the topics we covered, and today's session we are going to discuss VMware vSphere architecture. So now we are familiar what is vSphere means, the main components, ESXi and vCenter. The complete architecture, high-level overview we can discuss today, and also I will introduce the one of the new word. It's a software-defined data center (SDDC) overview, and we'll also have a quick look on all the overview basic concepts. We'll discuss on inventory objects, features, and integration, and all features we'll discuss in the upcoming classes. Okay, and coming to the lab points, now we are familiar for vCenter Server install stage 1. Stage 1 installation process is completed, and stage 2 also completed, and VAMI configuration post installation steps we have performed in our previous session. And we also observed the vSphere client access, how we can access the vSphere client. So vSphere client, it's actually a HTML5 client. Okay, we verified how the vSphere client is look like. Using vSphere client only, we can connect to our vCenter server. It's a similar like vSphere host client, how we connected the vSphere host client to access our ESXi host. Okay, so vSphere client we can use to connect to our vCenter server. This one also we observed yesterday. And today say, and creating a data center also we created yesterday. We created two data centers. One is for India data center. Depends on our company sites, we can create a multiple data centers. It's just a logical container. We know how to create a data center. And adding host to data center, we did it yesterday. And the VM creating at vCenter level. This portion we can observe today. Okay. So let's talk. Let me open our today's session slide. Okay, so today we are going to discuss our vCenter Server session 2. Main topic for today is VMware vSphere architecture high level overview. Let's observe our today's agenda. Agenda is VMware vSphere architecture high level overview, and during the discussion of vSphere architecture, we can also observe our additional concept, that is software defined data center. In short form, we say SDDC, and we'll discuss about SDDC overview. And another concept is vCenter server inventory object. Inventory objects means when we log into the vCenter server using vSphere client, whatever the tabs we have, all are considered as a inventory objects. And there are some features also in the vCenter server. We can cover all the features and also the integration products, and we can do in our home lab. Okay, so this is the vSphere architecture high level overview. We can start discussing from bottom to top. Okay, so let me verify the, sorry. See in your slide, if you notice that in our high level overview, the first one is it's a physical resources. So the blue dotted line refers to as a physical resources. The physical resources means we need to have a physical ESX boxes. To install the ESX operating system, we need a server hardware. This hardware you can use any of the server, like we can use the rack mount server, tower server, or blade server. Any server we can use. So in this diagram, we have a three servers, server 1, 2, and 3. Three server hardware we have. In order to connect to our hardware, we need some network devices. So we have some network devices here. NW means network device. And also to store our all the virtual machine data, we need a storage as well. So we mentioned the storage also here. So these all consider as a compute, network, and storage. These three components are common to manage our vSphere infrastructure. Still we need a physical servers, but instead of buying a n number of servers, we can reduce the servers when we are planning to use a ESX box. Okay. So on top of the physical resources, we need to install our infrastructure services, which infrastructure service means which include our ESX operating systems. So we can install multiple ESX. So for our easy understanding, I took the three examples. So ESX1, ESX2, and ESX3. And within our infrastructure services, there is a main key concepts are network concept and storage concept. So in within our network concept, we discussed about the standard vSwitch. We know how to create a standard virtual switch that is available in a default ESX box. Whenever we install the ESX server, it comes with a default one virtual switch, and based on our requirement, we can create a multiple virtual switches. And when it comes to the vCenter server, there is one of the new feature. The feature name is a distributed virtual switch. Distributed, the name itself, it says distributed virtual switch. So if we have three ESX hosts, for three ESX hosts, instead of creating the vSwitch on individual hosts, if we have a distributed vSwitch, one distributed vSwitch, it supports for all three ESXi hosts. That means instead of configuring vSwitch three times, we can do all our configuration one time at distributed virtual switch. Okay, so that is the advanced concept of vSwitch, distributed vSwitch. And also this is only the virtual level vSwitch, but not only the limited to the switch level. VMware also introduced another product for network virtualization. That product name is NSX-T. This NSX means it's a network virtualization. T means transformers. NSX transformers. In our previous until the previous last year, this year until the January, we have another VMware product also. The product name is NSX-V. NSX-V means it's supported only for vSphere product, but NSX-T means it's not limited to vSphere. We can use NSX-T for any of the environment. You can use for vSphere, you can use for private cloud, you can use for public cloud. Public cloud means you can use for AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, any of the cloud also you can use. So this is one of the most popular network virtualization product. Okay, I will give you the brief overview on NSX-T in our later classes. Okay, and VMware vSphere network IO control, even within our infrastructure services, one of the option is we have a facility to control our input and input and output control. Okay, and comes to the storage. In our vSphere environment, it's supported for mainly two types of file systems. One is vSphere VMFS. VMFS means virtual machine file system, and NFS means network file system. Only these two file systems VMware vSphere is supported. So based our company, whatever the storage they are using depends on our company requirement. We can go with the any one storage to store all our virtual machines. But as a VMware engineer, we have to learn both concepts. And also we have some of the additional storage concepts, which includes VMware virtual volumes. In short form, we call it as V volumes or VWall. VWall or V volumes all are considered as a virtual volumes. And we also have another storage virtual storage concept, which is VMware virtual SAN. SAN means virtual storage area network. So if you observe in our physical environment, we have a network. This also we have server and storage. The SAN product name is vSphere, and And when it comes to the network virtualization product name is NSX-T. And similarly, for storage virtualization product is vSAN. That means whatever we have in the our physical resources, compute, network, storage, these three main components already virtualized. For compute virtualization, we call it as vSphere product. For network virtualization, NSX-T, and for the storage virtualization, we call it as vSAN. So if you are using all the virtual software defined products, we also consider as a SDDC. SDDC means software defined data center. So normally within a data center, physical data center, we have computers, say servers, network, and storage. We have a combination of these three components. But in the SDDC, software defined data center, it's a combination of vSphere, vSAN, and NSX-T. Okay, so the same point I mentioned here, VMware vSphere is the core technology behind any software defined data center. So software defined data center means which includes the main key components vSphere, virtual SAN, and NSX-T. Okay, and the remaining features also we can discuss now. And we have is within the storage, we have a thin and thick disk form provisioning. Thin means it's like a, suppose our requirement is we need to create one virtual machine, install the Windows operating system. So during the virtual machine creation, we create the virtual machine with 100 GB. But normally operating system consume only around 10 GB space only. The remaining 90 GB, it still shows as a unallocated space until we can utilize. That process is in thin provision. Suppose if I provision our virtual machine with the thick provision means whenever we assign a 100 GB disk, the entire 100 GB occupied from our data store level. Okay, so just try to understand the description. In our later classes, I will explain in the lab also. I will show you for each concept. Okay, this session is mainly focusing on the overview. And storage also we have vSphere storage input output control. So these all consider as a infrastructure services. So within infrastructure we have software defined ESX, storage, and also the network. And another concept within our vSphere is cluster. So cluster is nothing but a grouping of multiple nodes. So here node means our ESX box. So when you group your multiple nodes, ESX1 and ESX2, see, I make it as a one box. This is considered as cluster. So within the cluster, whatever we have the server 1, server 2, server 3, CPU, memory, disk, and NSC, everything will make it as a one group of resources. So that's why I mentioned here virtual CPU, virtual disk, and group of virtual memory and virtual NICs. All are clustered. On top of the cluster, we can provision multiple virtual machines. These are all the virtual machine. And within the virtual machine, we need to install the operating system. Virtual machine operating system, we call it as guest operating system. So on top of the guest operating system, we can install our application. It's an application subjected to be our customer requirement. Example to the applications, like we can install any ERP applications like Microsoft BI, Microsoft AX application, or we can install SAP applications. We can install the database, web server, and also any other third-party application, whatever we want to use. And sometime if you want to configure MS Office on any of one virtual machine, you can install MS Office, all the Office related products, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Visio, MS Office Project, MS Office OneNote, anything you can install as a application on our VM level. It's supported to install all the applications. And similarly, you can also maintain some pre-configured virtual appliances. I just mentioned as VM, not only limited to you can create VM, install OS and install application. That is one method. And another method, you can also install our pre-configured VMs. Pre-configured VMs means normally pre-configured VM file extension is .ovf or .ova. OVM means Open Virtual Appliance. OVF means Open Virtual Format. This format of VMs, we can get it from either third-party websites or VMware also have a VMware website in the Google VMware Marketplace. From the VMware Marketplace, you can download some appliances also to install directly in your vCenter environment. And even not only pre-configured VMs, we can also install vCenter directly as a one virtual machine. For vCenter server, we no need to maintain separate server. It is also acts as a one virtual machines. Okay, so this is the application services layer. Within the application services layer, so we discussed until physical resources, ESX boxes, some key features, and later we created the VM. All these virtual machines we can manage from a vCenter server console only. To log into vCenter Server console, we need a vSphere client. Using vSphere client, we can connect directly to vCenter. From vCenter, we can create cluster, add the host and everything. So when we log into vCenter and add our host, we will get all these availability features and scalability features. Okay, so these features, I haven't highlighted all features. I just highlighted only the very key features only. I highlighted under high availability level and also the scalability level. We'll quickly discuss what is importance of each feature. Let's say one of the feature is vMotion. vMotion, we can also call it as migration. So normally vMotion functionality is, suppose my virtual machine 1 is running on ESX1, I want to migrate from ESX1 to ESX2. That feature is nothing but a vMotion feature. So vMotion is like a live migration feature. We no need to power off the VM. When the virtual machine is powered on state without any impact, without any network disruption, we can migrate the VM from ESX1 to, you can migrate to any of the other ESXi host. That is called vMotion. And another feature is storage vMotion. Storage vMotion means it's not on the host level, it's only on the data store level. Even our virtual machine running on one data store, using storage vMotion feature, we can migrate the VM from one data store to another data store. Okay, that is the importance of storage vMotion. And later classes, I will explain in detail how vMotion work, what is importance of performing the vMotion. One quick example for vMotion is, if I plan to do restart my ESX1, if you want to restart a ESX server, when I restart directly, there will be impact to all our virtual machine. So when we plan to do any restart on ESX host level, the only recommendation is migrate all your virtual machine to another ESX host, then place our ESX host into maintenance mode, then you can proceed for a reboot. That is a usual procedure. So during the host maintenance windows, we can plan to use this feature vMotion. Suppose vMotion. Suppose one of my data store is full. So to resolve the data store fill issues or segregate your data store VMs, we can recommend to migrate the VMs from one data store to another data store. It will help you to reduce your data store space and also it will help you to segregate your VMs. Suppose I want to move all my test VMs on a test data store, production VM on it, production data store. So during this segregation process also, we can use storage vMotion feature. And another key feature is VMware vSphere high availability. The name itself says high availability. The purpose of high availability is whenever ESX server is, there is no planned maintenance, unexpectedly ESX1 is down. When our ESX server is down, we no need to bother about the virtual machine. If we enable the high availability feature, it will take care of the migration of all virtual machine to another host automatically using HA feature. But during the HA feature, instead of complete virtual machine down, there is a minimal impact to resolve that host down scenario issue or host failure scenario issue. Okay. And fault tolerance, one of the advanced feature for high availability. Fault tolerance will provide zero downtime. So, but if you want to enable fault tolerance, we must and should have a enterprise plus license to enable the fault tolerance feature. And data recovery, this is also one of the default VMware in developed tool. It will helpful for the take the backup and recovery purpose, backup and recovery. And comes to the scalability features, there are some scalability features. It's like it will helpful for scale up and scale down. Scale up and scale down means, suppose if you want to increase your servers count or resource size, when you want to scale up your resources from 2 CPU to 4 CPU or 4 GB memory to 8 GB memory, this kind of facility is available in a vCenter server also. It's the same like our in single ESXi host, we did it to increase the CPU memory. The same options available in the vCenter level also. That features, when you want to increase our resources, that feature call it as hot add features. That is the option is available. Hotted is not only limited to CPU memory, even the additional hard devices also it will be a hot pluggable devices. All virtual devices are hot pluggable. Hot pluggable means when the virtual machine is in power on state, we no need to power off. We can just add the all the hardware devices. And another feature is DRS. DRS means distributed resource scheduler. This is also it is one of the load balancing technique. Whenever any ESX host is completely overloaded, like over 80% usage, in order to balance our virtual ESXi host load among the all associated hosts, the recommended feature is DRS. When we enable DRS, it will take care of all the virtual machine load balancing. Let's say I have 10 virtual machine. I want to distribute all virtual machine load among these three SX hosts. The load balancing, we no need to bother about manual process. When you enable DRS, it will take care automatically. Okay. And DPM also one of the feature. DPM means distributed power management. This is also one of the feature. It will helpful to control your manage your ESXi host power. So I will explain in detail in the later classes. And overcommitment, that is also one of the option. Even if you do not have enough resource in our physical storage level or physical ESXi host level CPU memory resources, still we can overcommit. VMware will allow us to do overcommit. And content library means it maintain all our virtual machine templates, ISO files, and also any additional software information. Centrally we maintain all the ISO files and dumps in a content library. From the content library we can distribute to within one cluster. Not only one cluster, we can also share it to the other clusters. Okay, that is the importance of content library. So now until now we discussed about infrastructure services and application services. This all we can manage from vCenter server only. So if you want to quickly observe the vCenter view, just log into our lab system. So here we have the AD ESX1 and ESX2. Under ESX1, we deployed the vCenter server yesterday. So our vCenter server IP address is 79. So open our any browser. Okay, so open any browser to open our vCenter server. So I'm just add the bookmark to our vCenter. So log into our vCenter server credential, administrator at the rate vSphere.local. This is the format for default vCenter server login and enter the password. So even while login, you can see the VMware vSphere. So click on login. So we log into the vSphere client only. vSphere client only will help you to log into vCenter server. And our IP address, vCenter server IP address, you can see here 10.79. So yesterday we created two data centers and we added the ESX host. So for our upcoming lab, just for our easy purpose, I'm just removing one data center and we can plan to use one data center. In our advanced concepts, again we'll create a multiple data centers. Okay, so now if I want to move this host to this data center, just simply select the host and move the host to data center. Okay, so within our one data center we have a 2 ESX host and we can remove this data center. Present we are not going to use. Even if you want to rename this data center, we can just rename also. Rename option is available. Right click the data center, select rename, let make it as a one data center. So demo lab data center one. Okay, one data center we just created. So within the demo lab data center one, we have two ESXi hosts. ESX1 is 71 IP and ESX2 is 72 IP. It's not only IP address, we can also maintain with the host name because we already resolved we recorded our host name and IP address in a DNS server. You can add with host name also. Okay, either way is fine. So our two hosts we can see here. And if you want to verify all the vSphere vCenter server inventory objects, just in the left side, you can see the inventory menu. You can find all the options. Okay. If you want to keep this menu in the below. You can see the pin menu option. Just select the pin menu. It will be pinned here. Okay. Suppose if you don't want to view all this information, just click on top. It will just move your left side. Okay. If you want to use, you just keep it like this. So we'll open one by one these options. In the meantime, let's start from the right side. Right side, if we log into vSphere client, using vSphere client, we're connected to vCenter server. In the right side, if you observe here, you can see the help information. When you click the help, it will redirect it to the our vCenter server documentation page. Okay, but the only condition is we must and should have internet connection. Then only it will connect to the internet VMware vSphere documentation page. So we already know all the documents available from this page only. Okay, and suppose the another option in the help menu, we have a vSphere help videos also. When you click vSphere help videos, it will redirect you to the vSphere client videos. So if you want to learn in future, all the videos are available here, official VMware videos on common screens, tips and tricks, storage level, host and clusters level, and also the virtualization level. Some of the concept videos, it's covered by VMware. Okay. When you get spare time, you can just watch these videos also. And also that there is an additional option. We can see about VMware vSphere. When we select about VMware vSphere, we can see our current vCenter server vSphere client version information. This is the version information 7.0.3. Okay. And this is the VMware copyright information. Okay. So just close and also select the help menu again. And there is an option for VMware Cloud. Again, this will also redirect it to public site. If you want to move it to VMware Cloud, there is some options they are showing. Okay, so this one also we'll discuss later. And comes to the other option, if you want to provide any feedback, we can send the feedback also to VMware. This is a feedback one. And what's your experience and all, you can just put either you can keep with problem, complaint, or idea. Anything you can update here. And also our login page, you can see here our login account name administrator@vsphere.local. When I select this one, we can see the multiple options. So the first one is change password. If you want to change the password for administrator account, we can use this option. When we click change password, we can type the current password and also you can enter the new password, confirm password. Okay. So present, we suggest new vCenter. So we no need to change the password. Normally in the company's environment, they may have some standard policies. Some companies may have every 90 days need to update the all our administrator account password, or some companies may maintain a annual password reset policy. So every yearly once we need to update the passwords. Okay. So during that scenario, we can use this option. And another one, my preferences. When I select my preferences, there is a multiple options. If you want to change the language, default is English. If you want to change anything, you can do. And also the time, it's a time format, sorry, time format is, it's a default one. And if you want to change it to 12 hours format or 24-hour format, you can use based on your convenience. And language also, default is English. If you want to change to specific language also, we can change. And the default console, this is our default vSphere client console. If you want to change the console view, we can use the options to change. Okay. And inventory, show VMs and host and clusters view. See in the top, you can see the host and clusters view. Currently, we are using the same inventory view. So just cancel. So now again go here and there is an option to switch theme. Suppose if you want to change the theme of our current color and all, you can just select switch theme. It will change to this color. So whatever your convenience, you can use the color coding and all. If you're comfortable with this color, you can use this, or else you can just change back to switch theme. It's like a this normal background color is white. And if you want to log out this session, just log out. Okay. And this icon refers as a refresh icon. Whenever if you do any changes, in order to apply the changes and all, we need to refresh. And on top, you are seeing some warning message. There are three options it is showing. The first one is there are expired or expiry license in your inventory. When we click here, it will shows our evaluation period, license period, but it's fine. We are managing a evaluation period only. So it's okay. We know already we are using a evaluation license. If you want to update the license, this is a tab to update our new license keys. Use the add key and you can enter your license keys. Okay, and again choose the second option. What it is saying, it is saying new vCenter server updates are available. It says that there is a new update also released by VMware. If you want to update, you just click on view updates. It will redirect it to update page. So from here we can see the latest updates and we can plan to do the updates. And another widget, it is saying that vSphere client plugin includes VMware and partner plugins are still upgraded to view the new dark theme. Except some plugins to exhibit visual inconsistencies. So they're giving some informational message. Okay, there are some plugins are already installed. So if you want to observe all the existing plugin, again go to the menu. Under menu, you can choose the option for home. When I select the home, see in our home page, you can see our vCenter server name or IP address. Here it is showing as IP address. Okay, and it is showing our CPU complete resource information. It's not our vCenter resource information. We already added two hosts. Those two hosts combined CPU information, total CPU, total memory, and also the total storage information. See, our ESX host totally we assign the memory as a 40 GB. Within the 40 GB memory, 20 GB is free. Only 50% is in use. And also storage we assign until now 150 GB storage. So it is showing us 40 out of 150, 46.97 GB is free. And within our vCenter, it is a complete like a dashboard. We can see all our resource information in the first row, and second row you can see the virtual machine. Currently one power on VM, 4 power off virtual machine. If you want to see 4 power off VM, again go back here and select the inventory. See in our inventory, excuse me. If you expand here, or you can select here in the main top corner right side. If you go to the VMs tab, you can see all VMs here. If you expand here, see how many VMs power on. Only one VM is powered on. The remaining 4 VMs are power off. The same information it is showing from the dashboard also. To see the dashboard, again go to the menu, home. You can see the resource information as well as VMs information. Under VMs information, it is saying that one VM is power on, 4 VMs are powered off, and there is no suspended VMs. Suspend means if you want to suspend the virtual machine, usually just right click here. Here you can see the option for suspend option under the power. So if you select the power, you can see hard stop, and also you have an option to suspend option. When the VM is power on state, during that time you can choose the option to suspend. Okay. Suppose if you want to test the suspend state, just to power on this VM, and you can see VM is powered on state. If you want to suspend now, right click the VM, go to the power and select suspend. Suspend is nothing but it's a kind of halt or pause the virtual machine state. So just select yes, operation failed because there is a insufficient disk space on our data store. Okay, it's fine. Our data store space we need to increase. Okay, it's fine. So just uncheck, but we know how to suspend the virtual machine. But in which scenario we use suspend is if you want to export our virtual machine log files, VMware recommend to do during the troubleshooting scenario, VMware recommend to select the place the virtual machine into suspend state and export the log files. Okay. Normally troubleshooting scenario, we use this option, or else normal recommended operation is shut down guest OS, restart guest OS, or if it is a power off, you can just power off and power on. This is the options we use normally. For reset also available here. Okay, let's back to home again. We can see this is the virtual machine dashboard. And another option is we are just observing the host information. So currently how many hosts we have? 2 hosts we have. And how many disconnected means only node 0 disconnected hosts. And the maintenance status is there is no maintenance host. That's why it is showing as 0. and come to the objects with the most alerts. If we have any vCenter level alerts, you can find the alerts information in the home dashboard itself. Currently, there is no errors or alerts or warning messages, so no objects to display. Here you can see the installed plugins. So above it's showing as vSphere client plugins, right? Not only VMware and also partner plugin. All partner plugins also you will find under this tab. See, installed plugins, we haven't installed this plugin. It's a default, it comes with a vCenter server itself. So you can see VMware vSphere Lifecycle Manager. This is one of the plugin. The name itself says Lifecycle Manager. This will help you to do all our vSphere ESXi host and virtual machines update and upgrades. If you want to perform update and upgrades, you can use this tool to do the all updates and upgrades. Update means it's kind of patching. Upgrade means complete version upgrade. Suppose our ESX version is 6.7. I want to upgrade it to the 7. 7 means 6 series to 7. The complete version number is changing. That one we call it as a upgrade. Update means suppose we are using 7.0 update 1. I want to do the patching of 7.0 update 1 to 7.0 update 3. That is considered as a patching, or we call it as a update. Okay, so remember these two keywords, update and upgrade. And VMware vSAN plugin, this one also installed already. And cloud provider migration plugin, this one also installed default. In future, if you want to move your virtual infrastructure to any of the third-party cloud, we need this plugin to migrate your VM from our on-premises to cloud migration. We use during that scenario, we use this plugin. And another option, vCenter Server Lifecycle Manager. This is a vSphere Lifecycle Manager. Is support for ESX and VM, and this is not a VMware Lifecycle Manager. It's a vCenter Lifecycle Manager. This will help you to do the update on a vCenter level only. And another product is VMware Vrops Client plugin. Vrops full form is vRealize Operations Manager. This will help you to do the vCenter Server enhanced monitoring, and also it will help you to do the reporting, capacity management, and also the we have additional features like performance graph, performance fine tuning, anything if you want to do. This is one of the advanced tool we can mainly use to for, I repeat, monitoring, reporting, capacity management, and alerting. All these features we can use in a vRealize Operations Manager. For a VROps, I will explain clearly again. And again, go back to the menu. So in our menu, under the home, we just discussed now home page. If I select the shortcuts, you can see some inventories, monitoring, and administration. So these all features we have to learn one by one. Now we are at the, suppose under the inventory, if I select the host and clusters, you will see the our current view. Okay, so this is the clusters icon, and the second icon is virtual machines and templates icon, and this one is storage icon. This is the networking icon. The same icon information you can see from the shortcuts also. Under shortcuts, you can see inventory, host, and clusters. See cluster, the name is cluster. You can see multiple server icons are clubbed. Grouping of multiple nodes is nothing but a cluster. Okay, and VMs and template. If you see here the icon itself, VM icon is there, and also there is a one box. This is a template icon. So this icon refers as a, when we click on VMs and template, just expand, you will find whatever the VMs and templates we have, all information you can find under this tab. Suppose again go to the shortcuts. If I select the storage, you can find whatever the storage you have, all the existing data store storage information under this icon. Okay, again go to the shortcut. This icon refers as a networking. So that means when you select this icon, you will find all your network port groups, how many V switches we have, DV switches we have, all information you can find from here. Okay, but in detail we'll discuss. Just understand what is the inventory objects we have. And we also have content libraries. When we click on content library, you can see currently there is no content is uploaded. If you want to upload and all, you just create and upload the all our necessary contents. You can keep one name and location, and you can upload our storage, map one storage to upload all our content. Okay, and again go to the shortcuts. And we also have the feature global inventory list. See, the name itself says global inventory list. When I click this option, it's mapped here. It's not only maintain one vCenter. If you have a multiple vCenters, all information you can find from a global inventory list. Okay. And another again under shortcuts under inventory, you can see another concept is workload management. This is one of the advanced concept to virtual machine. Same like our virtual nowadays, if you need 100 servers, do you still prefer to go with 100 physical server or virtual machine? We all usually prefer to go with a virtual machine concept only. But advanced to virtual machine, there is a new concept coming in that is called containerization. Under the containerization, we also advanced containerization cluster concept is Kubernetes. Even the Kubernetes also now VMware make that Kubernetes as a enterprise product. That product is called Tanzu product. Okay, this is here we have a free evaluation. I will explain detail once we complete all our vSphere concepts. Later I will explain about the Kubernetes and VMware Tanzu in our upcoming classes. Okay, this is a just view where we can find the containerization. Tanzu view means just go to the home shortcuts. Under shortcuts you can find workload management. Okay, and also we have a feature for cloud provider migration. If you want to migrate your on premises virtual machine to any of the third party external cloud, you can use this option. See, here they given some marketing information from VMware, but migration subjected to be our customer interest. Okay, any of the cloud, if you want to choose, you can choose. Either if you want to do only the network migration, there is a green network solution, or if you want to do only storage, there is a separate storage also. Okay, it's a subject to be customer interest, which solution you want to move it in the cloud environment. So that's why they mention as VMware Cloud Provider Migration. Some companies they may maintain only for a disaster recovery as a service. For secondary site also we can maintain this option. So let's go back and select the shortcuts. So we discussed until the inventory objects basic overview. And come to the monitoring. Even in the monitoring session, if I select here, you can see the task and event console. Task and event is nothing but here whatever the task we performed in the vCenter level, all task information you can find in a task console. Event means event, normally event it will shows the informational message, warning message and error message. And remember that informational message means it's like a eye icon. Warning message means normally it's with a yellow color. Yellow color icon means it's a warning, and a critical or error message comes in a red color icon. Okay, we'll observe one by one these two options. Let's observe the task console first. When I click task console, you can see whatever the task we performed in our vCenter, all task information you can find. Suppose today, just some time ago, we tried to power on the VM, the power on status completed, and again we tried to did the suspend virtual machine, but somehow it's not completed. It's given the message says insufficient disk space. Okay, the solution we know we need to increase our data store space. So all the task information you can find from this console. Okay, here also you can find, but the only importance of this console is you can find all our previous history also you can find from this console. Suppose very recent information in the below you can see recent task. You can find if you click on the recent task icon, you can find the very recent task you can find from recent task. If you want to know the before the recent task, if you want to know the previous history, you can go to task console. You can find all information along with the date and time. So you can find with the date and time when it is completed, all information you can find from the task console. Okay, normally this option will be helpful during the troubleshooting scenarios. And again go to the home menu shortcuts, and there is a event console. So when I select event console, it consists of the informational messages, error messages, and warning messages. See, if I just expand the type, you can see all information messages, error messages, and there will be some warnings also. Okay, in order to read all this information with the timestamp, you can just go to the event console. Depends on your error time, you can just observe the during your timestamp, is there any errors or warnings. Okay, this is also we can use during the troubleshooting scenario. And go to the shortcuts again, and we can see VM customization specification. This is one of the custom specification option. I will explain this concept during the template creation time. Okay. And host profile, this is also one of the important concept in our vCenter server. Host profile, just to try to understand the definition. Host profile main importance is, suppose there is a requirement to configure 10 ESXi host. We already know how to install the ESX server, and within a one ESX box we know how to configure networking. Let's say if I want to configure one ESX host, it took the installation time. We need to consider the configuration time. Let's say configuration time, it took roughly 1 hour for one ESX host. If I want to do the same configuration for remaining 9 ESX hosts, I need to spend 9 hours extra for remaining 9 hosts. But during that scenario, if you want to do all your ESXi host post configuration steps, if you want to do automate, you can use this feature called host to profile. But this feature is not available in a single ESX host. This feature only in a vCenter level only. Using host profile, whenever you complete one ESX host full configuration setup, using that host, you can create one host profile. And this profile, what it will do is it will capture all our existing ESX host configuration information. Then you can attach this host profile to all the remaining 9 ESX hosts. So the configuration will be update automatically. So that means it will reduce our manual steps. So it is one of the automatic feature to do our ESXi host configuration steps. So in our later classes, we'll perform a lab for the host profile also. Okay. And again, observe the some other options under the shortcuts. See, another feature, Lifecycle Manager. Lifecycle Manager means, as discussed, it will help you to update our ESX host versions. And also, if you have any third-party editions also, we can update. And also, if there is any virtual machine VMware tools also, we can update. Okay, so it's supported for third-party plugins as well as virtual machine VMware tools update, as well as ESX host updates, and also the upgrades. Okay, so it will show automatically what are all the latest updates available, but it is showing the 6.5. But currently these 6.5 updates are not applicable to our ESX because our ESX is already a latest version. When I select ESX host summary tab, you can see our current version is 7 series. 7 series with update 2. So we no need to do the 6.5 updates because it's already updated ESX host. And again go to the shortcuts. So we observe the inventory objects, monitoring objects, and also the administration tab. Administration tab mainly for the licensing edition. Under administration, one of the option is licenses. If you want to add the additional licenses, you can add from here. Okay, so until now we just discussed about what is the shortcuts available in a vCenter level, and similarly this whatever the options available here, these all options covered here in the shortcuts menu. Okay, content library here, and also the workload management here, global inventory list also here, policies also available under this row. And there is some additional features also added in this tab. If we see the policies and profiles, it's covered in a host profile and VM storage profile section. Okay, and auto deploy also one of the feature. This auto deploy, it's not only for post configuration steps. Even if I want to deploy 100 ESXi hosts, to deploy 100 ESXi hosts, we need to spend so much time to deploy 100 ESX. But VMware is providing one latest feature called auto deploy. Using auto deploy, you can deploy the ESX operating system also remotely using auto deploy feature. In our later classes, I will explain the importance of auto deploy as well. Normally, we'll use this feature for bulk deployment of ESXi hosts. Okay, and also there is a feature for hybrid cloud services. See, hybrid cloud service also, they given a explore hybrid cloud information. If you want to explore the VMware cloud, just click on here. It will redirect it to the VMware website. See here, nowadays VMware is also expanded and supporting for the so many clouds. So if we are using a multiple clouds, we call this as a multi-cloud. So not only for hybrid cloud, it support for multi-cloud. But understand the definition. Private cloud means it's a dedicated for one organization. Public cloud means that public cloud is like a shared environment. Any public can access the public cloud environment. For public cloud, examples are AWS, Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google GCP. Okay. Suppose in my environment, I'm using a one private cloud and two public clouds. Or in my environment, I'm using a only one private cloud and one public cloud. The combination of private cloud and public cloud is nothing but a hybrid cloud. Okay, the hybrid cloud means just a combination of one private and one public. If you have a more than one private, more than one public cloud, that is considered as a public cloud. The names are hybrid public cloud, it's don't confuse, but the concept is almost same. Once we understand the complete vSphere concepts, it's easy to understand the cloud concepts and also the Kubernetes Tanzu concepts. Okay, it's just basic I'm giving. In detail we'll discuss. And also there is a feature for development center. This development center is one of mainly for developers. Suppose if you want to do any automation, you can update your you can enable the code capture, you can do our entire developing code here. But normally developers will use this developer center. Here you can see the overview what we can automate. We can automate the so many vCenter Server appliance level tasks, tags. We can also automate the content library information, and whatever the vCenter level task if you want to automate, you can automate using vCenter API. API Explorer also here. API means application program interface. It's subjected to be we require a scripting knowledge to perform the automation. But as per VMware, they supported scripting languages are mainly these three languages. Power CLI, I will explain the Power CLI in the later classes. Java scripting and Python. This is also also we can use. At least I will try to explain you the at least one scripting language, how we can do the automation. And why we required automation means, suppose if you compare with a large scale organization, normally in a large scale organization, every day, let's say that my virtual machine count is 5,000 virtual machines, approximately 5,000. This all 5,000 virtual machine, every monthly once we have to do a maintenance. When we're doing the maintenance time, it's recommended to do all virtual machines we have to restart. Let's say if you want to restart all virtual machines one by one, 5,000 virtual machine, how long will it take? It will take a very long time to restart all virtual machines. So this type of repeated task, multiple tasks, we can do automate using the Power CLI scripts or JavaScript or Python scripts. So as a VMware systems engineer, just to enhance our technical skills, and if you want to move from one level to another level, like level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, level 3 to level 4, and so on. If you want to increase your technical level, the importance is not limited to our skill set. We always plan to do our enhance our technical skill set. As part of the enhancement, this scripting also one of the beneficial knowledge. Okay, so most of the developers will do the any of the automation, we can do it from a developer center. Okay, so in which area we have to do, all categories they given. VM level we can do whatever features we have in the vCenter, all features also we can do using scripting, we can automate. Okay, so example, if you suppose if you see the virtual machine tab, see virtual machine lab, they are giving us some multiple codes to do the automation. Okay, using these codes we can prepare a automation codes. Okay, and go to the menu, and we discussed all these items. And when comes to the administration tab, in our administration tab we discussed about the licensing only, and there are also additional features like roles, permissions, some plugin information, deployment, support bundles, certification information, users and groups. Even if you want to create any additional users and groups, we can create from this tab. Okay, there are some default uh, vCenter component related users, but always we use mainly two users only. One is root and another one is administrator at the rate vsphere.local. And also there is a configuration session. This will also I will explain clearly one day. Each tab I will take at least one day session. Okay, this session is just giving the overview before we jump on to the deep dive topics. and task and events we observed, and the tag and custom attributes. This is also one of the feature. If you want to put a tag, it's like a normally when we are buying any of the clothes or any of the items, there will be a price tag. It consists of the model, service number, and all. Same way in our vCenter level also, we can set the tags in all the areas. Uh, if we want to take one example, let's say I want to categorize my virtual machine to development VM separately, or test VM separately, production VM separately. You can create one tag for development, one tag for production, one tag for a test VMs. So like this, we can use the tagging just to segregate all our virtual machines. And not only tags, we can also categorize all the information using tags. And lifecycle manager, we just observed it's mainly for updates and upgrade purpose. And there is a concept of NSX. I'm just giving the basic of NSX. NSX also one of the important concept for network virtualization. If you want to use network virtualization, we need to use. Let's try to give the quick example for NSX-T. Why we need to use the NSX-T. If I ask a question why we are using VMware, means why we are using VMware is mainly for data center server virtualization purpose. Instead of buying a huge number of physical server, now we are buying a normal physical limited physical servers. On top of the physical server, we are installing a VMware ESX. Using ESX server, we are creating a multiple virtual machine. That means we are everything discussing only on a server level only. That means vSphere is a server virtualization product only. But if you want to do a network level virtualization, even in the vCenter level, we have a virtual network concepts for virtual switch, DV switch. That means it is limited to switch concept only. It's not limited to a additional network devices. Like additional network devices are during the basic networking concept, we discussed about router, firewall, and also load balancers. When we are plan to use the NSX, this NSX will provide you the software defined network devices. We in short form, we call it as SDN. So this SDN purpose is, just a minute, someone trying to log in. Let me connect to our system. Okay, so during the SDN, NSX means it's like a software defined network. So when I use the NSXT, what is the my additional benefit is not only virtual switch, using the NSXT, we will prepare a logical switches, layer 3 switches. We can prepare a software defined routers. So that router, we call it as a DLR, distributed logical router. Whatever we have in the physical network components, switch, router, firewall, these all products are also virtualized. Same like how the server virtualized as a virtual machine. Similarly, in our network components also, whatever we have the network devices like switch, it become as a virtual switch. Advanced switch is distributed virtual switch. In NSX, we call that name as a logical distributed switch. And router, we have a network device, but the same router concept, when you want to learn the NSXT, the router is using like a software defined component, that name is DLR, distributed logical router. Same way in our physical environment, we are using a some third party firewalls. That firewall also when comes to the NSXT, it become a software component that is called as distributed firewall. In front of firewall name, it's added D, distributed firewall. Similarly, load balancers, even the load balancer, we have a physical devices in our NSXT concept. It's a completely a virtual concept. That is also a load balancer we can configure in a NSXT level. So these and all during when we are discussing the NSXT concept, I will cover those concepts, but to understand the basic why we are using NSXT means it's mainly for the network virtualization concept. Okay. Now let's back to the menu. And what is other option? vRealize operations. This is also one of the important concept. Why we need to use the vRealize operations is, suppose my infrastructure have 100 plus ESX host and 1000 plus virtual machines. Even to maintain your ESXi host and virtual machines healthy, we need to monitor all our infrastructure. So in order to monitor our virtual infrastructure, the best recommended monitoring tool is vRealize Operation Manager. If you see here, they given the definition VMware itself. So currently it says that vRealize operation is not present. It's the giving the option to install, but whenever we need it, we can install this vRealize operations. So it's provide a cloud planning, capacity optimization, and compliance, and also we can do the automated proactive workload management, and we can also helpful for a monitoring purpose mainly. So these are the three key features about vRealize operations. In our later classes we'll discuss in detail. And the cloud provider migration we discussed already. Okay, so this whatever the we have observed it from the main menu, this is the main vCenter server inventory objects. Now come to features. What is a vCenter features means? Suppose host and cluster, but we haven't created any cluster. If I want to create a cluster, I'm just showing you that quickly. Right click the data center. We have a option multiple features. These are all we need to learn in the upcoming classes. What is importance of each feature? What is importance of distributed switch? Even in your home PC, when you install the vCenter server, you can try to explore all the tabs. So when you once you familiar with all the tabs and menu items and everything, that is only our remaining VMware vSphere concepts. Okay, just to try when you get the time or when you're practicing the vCenter lab, just try to explore each and every option. Okay, so if you have any questions also later classes, one by one we can discuss all the tabs. Even in the tab, suppose if I creating planning to create a cluster, during the cluster itself, see you can see the vSphere high availability feature, vSAN feature, and DRS feature. So this is called vCenter features, but default features are not enabled. We need to enable whenever it is necessary. Okay, so without enabling these features, because during the next classes I will explain in detail for all the features. I'm just creating a without the features, just a dummy cluster. So without adding any host, see I created a one cluster. But when I create cluster, go to summary, it shows as a processor 0, vMotions also 0. If you want to move the host to this cluster, just select the host and just move to here, drag and drop. When we drop here, see under this cluster, we have the host. Same way, even if you want to move this host to same cluster, just select the cluster, drag and drop. It will move to the same cluster. See now, if we select the cluster, you can see total processors are 16, no vMotion. Even the cluster information you can find from here. Related objects and how many hosts and all, just go to the host tab. You can see two hosts are coming from cluster. So these and all we can discuss in the coming classes. All the features, see even when I right click the cluster, there are multiple features. Even if I right click the ESX host, you can see so many options. These options are not available in a single ESXi host management. Only these features comes from a vCenter level only. Even not only the not limited to host, even if I select the virtual machine, right click, you can see multiple features. Okay, so whatever the main important inventory objects and features I highlighted in our today's slide. So today's session I'm just giving the quick overview only. In our later classes per day, every day we can cover minimally 2 to 3 features we can cover per session. Okay, once we familiar the all the components, tabs, and also the features, that is only the our remaining VMware vSphere concepts. So now let's quickly move on to the next slide. I'm trying to explain you the quick overview of SDDC, software defined data center. When I select the software defined data center, so just now we discussed about, see, VMware vSphere. In the central virtual infrastructure layer, we are concentrating on the main key concept is VMware vSphere. But before discussing VMware virtualization layer, just come to the bottom line. We can see physical layer. Normally in our physical environment, what is our key components? Compute, storage, and network. When comes to the compute is nothing but a servers. In short form, we call it as a compute also. All the servers compute. So compute is a physical environment. When comes to the virtualization, this compute is also virtualized. The virtualization product name is VMware vSphere. And same way, in our physical layer, our concept is storage. This storage also virtualized. The virtual storage concept is VMware vSAN. Okay, but we are mainly focusing on the VMware products, but not only VMware, even in the third party softwares also we have some competitor products for VMware. But when compared to third party competitor products, current market leading server virtualization product is VMware vSphere. Okay, so that's the reason we are learning the VMware. And even the VMware vSAN also there is a competitor product like Nutanix AOS, Acropolis operating system. Nutanix is the company name, AOS is the product name. Nutanix AOS also similar features as VMware vSAN. These two products also always in the competition. Sometimes VMware vSAN in the leading stage, sometimes Nutanix is the leading stage. But the concept wise, both refers as a storage virtualization concept. And NSX also, if in our physical layer we have a network devices. Network device means what we can say? We can say switch, router, load balancer, firewall. These all devices are a physical devices. Nowadays that network device is also virtualized. So virtualized means we need a one virtualization software. That software is NSX. So when we combined all our software products, whatever we have the previously data center compute products we have, storage we have, network we have, we call it as a physical data center using this physical layer. When comes to virtual infrastructure layer, whatever we are doing the compute, storage and network, everything is software only we are using. So that is the reason this concept we call it as a software defined data center. Okay, so this is a overview for software defined data center. Once our data center is completely built, if you want to do your software defined data center in a move into the cloud, if you want to maintain the cloud for automation purpose, for the cloud management layer, we can configure a self-service catalog. Generally, service catalog means normally in a hotel we have a menu. In the menu, you can book your whatever the starters, meals, a meals item, and also the desserts. Same way, this service catalog will consist of all our virtual infrastructure services like VM provision, VM deletion, VM power cycle. If you want to add the virtual machine additional storage, if you want to add the virtual machine additional NIC card, all this is considered as a service catalog. These all catalogs we can do the automation using cloud management layer, that is the service catalog. In our later classes again, whatever we are discussing overview concept, we'll discuss separately again. Okay, just try to understand the overview concept. And this service catalog available in a self-service portal and also orchestration. Orchestration is nothing but a it's a automation workflows. Okay, this layer is completed, just discussed. And also if you observe the right side one, business continuity, every company to maintain the business continuity, they maintain a some branch offices. So that branch officer's business continuity purpose, VMware also used one of the tool called Site Recovery Manager. If you read the name itself, we can understand the concept. Site Recovery Manager. That means normally in our company we have a two sites. One is considered as a primary site, and second remote site is considered as a secondary site. Why company maintain two sites means in case of any disaster happen on our primary site, like any fire accident or any power outage or anything happen, without disturbing our business, every company maintain a secondary site to maintain the disaster recovery purpose. So during that scenario, they used one software from VMware. That software is Site Recovery Manager. In short form, we call it as VMware SRM, Site Recovery Manager. But not only VMware SRM, there is also some third-party tools, but we will focus on the VMware SRM in the later classes. And similar to SRM, there is another product also, replication. Replication also same, like it will replicate the data from between the sites, site 1 to site 2, site 2 to site 3, like that. And let's say we are talking about all the virtual infrastructure, like how about the security? So again, there is a separate security products. How we can maintain the app level security, network level security, some additional advanced security. These are all the security products. And comes to the service management automation, whatever we discuss, service portal, service catalog, this automation purpose we use some additional tools, that is vRealize operations. Today we discussed vRealize operation mainly for monitoring, capacity management and reporting purposes. Okay, that is a vRealize operations. And vRealize automation. This automation tool, the name itself says automation. That means whatever the task we are performing on vSphere level, VM creation, deletion. Suppose you got the task to create a 100 virtual machine. To create 100 virtual machine, let's say each virtual machine we are roughly spending the time half an hour or 1 hour. Why I'm mentioning 1 hour means not only OS installation, we need to perform some application, some standard NIC configuration, IP settings and all. Roughly we can take one VM 1 hour. If I want to install 100 VMs means 100 hours I need to spend. So in order to in order to do this kind of bulk task, if you want to plan to do a automation, that automation scenario, there is no automation feature directly on vSphere. Either you can develop a script using Development Center, or you can use a VMware vRealize automation. Earlier, vRealize automation, vRealize orchestrator, both are a separated products. But nowadays, VMware, they combined these two products coming with a single appliance. That means vRealize automation embedded with vRealize orchestrator. These two are mainly used for a automation purpose. Whatever we are performing the repeated tasks in our vCenter server, all repeated tasks we can do it as a automation. Okay, so this is about the SDDC overview. So once we familiar with VMware vSphere concept, we can slowly start discussing the additional advanced concepts. Okay, so now let's move on to the our vCenter server, all the inventory objects, whatever we observed from the console. I just segregated all the console information in a one slide. So if I segregate here, if you quickly notice the all the features, see we observed the VAMI console. VAMI means virtual appliance management interface. Yesterday during the post installation steps, I connected to VAMI console. So to connect to VAMI console, what is the port number?
5480.
5480. Very good. And even in the vCenter inventory objects, just now we observed the vCenter inventory objects. These inventory objects I just collected from our vCenter console. And if I select home, go to the shortcuts, see we can see host and clusters, VMs and template. These all features I just segregated here. So we are going to discuss one by one. Okay. Minimally, we try to cover 2 to 3 features in a one session. Okay. So today is only the just a quick look only. See, these are same options, whatever the shortcuts we have, I just mentioned here, host and clusters, VMs and templates, storage. Mainly it's supported for two types of file system, VMFS and NFS, networking, content library, global inventory list. We all observed in the under shortcuts, we observed all these options. Even vCenter features, even in the when comes to the features, there is some additional features like hot add, hot pluggable devices. We can create a folders also. These folders are like a, suppose when we log into vCenter, select the host and clusters. If you want to create a folder, right click, there is an option to create a folder. You can create folder under the cluster folder level, or you can create directly on the top of the cluster storage level anywhere. These folders are like a, normally in our local system, we are creating a multiple folders to segregate our data, right? Same way in the clusters level segregation, host level segregation, we can create a folders. It's a just a logical container only. Okay, and virtual machines. Today I will show you how to create the virtual machine. It's almost same like we already know how to create a VM in workstation. We already know how to create VM in a ESX level, but we haven't tested how to create a VM in a workstation level. It's almost similar like a ESX host level VM creation. Once we create the VM, there will be some additional features, snapshot, clone, template. These features are you can find from a vCenter console only. When I right click the any virtual machine, you can see all features, clone feature, and also we can see the template feature. Similarly, you can see some snapshot features also, all from this tab only. Okay, this information only I updated here. So clone, template, snapshot, resource pool, vapps, schedule task. If you want to schedule any task, you can schedule. Development center we discussed, distributed virtual switches, distributed port group. We know the virtual switch port group. This is a distributed port group. And cold migration, vMotion. Cold migration means it's a when the virtual machine is powered off, if you want to migrate the VM, when the VM is powered off, that is called as cold migration. Vmotion means when the virtual machine is powered on, when you if you migrate, that is considered as a vMotion. Suppose quickly log into vCenter, right click the VM, you can see the option for migrate option. See, there is a migrate option. When we click on migrate, there is a four types of migrate option. So one refers as a vMotion, one refers as a SVMotion, one refers as a cold migration. These features only I mentioned here. Okay, cold migration, vMotion, SVMotion. Later classes, I will explain one by one for the each topic lab also. And additional features, HA, DRS, storage, DRS, FT. Just now we observed while creation of cluster, we saw these three features. While creation of cluster, just right click the cluster, go to the edit settings. See, you can see the clusters features. DRS feature is here, and also you can see the high availability feature here. Okay, so the same HA DRS features. And fault tolerance also advanced to HA. And for vMotion, advanced vMotion feature is enhanced vMotion feature. Okay, enhanced vMotion compatibility. In short form, we call it as EVC. And distributed power management also, and some monitoring features, thin disk provisioning, thick disk provision. I will explain clearly for this topics what is the importance of thin provision, thick provision. But most of the real-time environment, we prefer to use thin provision, and until unless if any application required a thick provision, then only we choose the thick provision format. Okay, and the certificate management. Certificate mean all the vCenter level components, ESXi host, virtual machine, all the SSL certificates, and all managed in the vCenter server certificate management only. And the tags and custom attributes, we just now observed. Tags is mainly for the segregating the ESXi hosts and virtual machines. And the roles and permissions we observed. And the last row, if you observe the last column from 46 to 60, all are the some additional features, advanced features and integrations. Auto deploy we observed, it's mainly for to deploy the n number of ESXi hosts remotely. We can use this feature. And for vCenter also, if you want to maintain high availability, there is a feature available, which is in short form, we call it as VCHA. And vSAN, virtual SAN, we can also call it as SDS. SDS means software defined storage. And there is another feature also, virtual volumes. And for automation purpose, we use VRA and VRO. And for centralized logs, we can also maintain vRealize log inside. And the centralized network packet capturing network visibility will use VRNI, vRealize network insight. And for the desktop virtualization, VMware Horizon. For site recovery manager, SRM. If you observe here, everything is virtualized nowadays. Okay, so we are into the server virtualization learning concepts 1 to 45. Once we familiar with the server virtualization concept, we'll discuss on storage virtualization, automation, login side. Horizon is like a desktop virtualization product, and site recovery management, hybrid cloud services. NSX-T we consider as a SDN. SDN means software defined network. And vRealize operations manager. This is for a monitoring purpose. And we also need to learn some additional concept, that is VMware Converter. Suppose if any company still any of the branch offices or their secondary sites still running on physical server, if you want to migrate those physical server to virtual machine, we need to use the tool name called VMware Converter. This VMware Converter purpose is it will help you to convert from physical machine to virtual machine, and it will also convert the virtual machine to virtual machine. Why I need to convert virtual machine to virtual machine means, if you have any third party virtual machines like Oracle virtual machine or Microsoft Hyper-V virtual machine, if you want to convert into VMware virtual machine, we need to use the tool called VMware Converter tool. Okay, I will show you how to install VMware Converter and how to perform a P2V and V2V. Okay, and this is one of the advanced concept, workload management. It's a containerization, and Kubernetes is the basic concepts to understand the Tanzu. Okay, so Tanzu is a enterprise Kubernetes software. Okay, so VMware, they mention the Kubernetes in VMware terminology, they put the name as a Tanzu. And also the cloud provider migration, this is also one of the future in our vCenter. If you want to migrate from on-premises to private or on-premises to public, in our vCenter, there is a integration option is available. We observed this cloud provider migration in vCenter home itself. When you go to the home shortcuts, we can see the cloud provider migration option. Okay, so all these concepts is correlated with our vCenter server inventory. Okay, so Just explore all the features when you have a spare time. Okay, so in our next classes I will start discussing the from 1 to I will start one by one. I will provide the notes also in our slides, what is importance of each topic. We'll discuss the theory first and then we'll do the lab for each concept. Okay, so that's it for today. And if you have any questions, let me know on our today's topics, or if you have any questions on our previous topics also, it's fine, we can discuss now.
Sir, can you tell me about forged transmit?
Yeah, forge transmit mode is one of our VMware network, which feature it is security policy. Suppose if I select our ESX cluster, go to the ESX host and go to the network, we can see our normal network information. Either you can see from here or go to the network and select here, and we can see the our network information. So forge transmit is mainly to use for a outbounding traffic. If you want to capture our information, any of the information from the physical network to virtual machine, that outbound traffic information is captured by the forge transmit. But default forge transmit mode is a disable mode. If you enable it, it will start capturing all our physical infrastructure traffic information, outbound traffic information, and inbound traffic information is maintained by MAC address changes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so when I now if you want to see to create the switch here in our vCenter, the completely advanced DV switch only it is showing. Let me connect to the single host. See, when we log into the single host, go to the networking. In our networking, we have a virtual switch tab. We can see the three switches. Suppose if you choose any switch, every switch have a common policies. See, if I select vSwitch 0, under the vSwitch policies, security policy, we can find the option for promiscuous mode, forge transmit mode. The default status is no. And we make it yes during our lab scenario. The same policy is applicable for all the vSwitches. Even if I select the vSwitch 1, it's have a same policy, all the status is off. And vSwitch 2 also it have the security policy, all the state is off. If you want to enable these settings, just click on the vSwitch, and here expand our security policy, default option is reject. So here now our question is, what is the importance of forge transmit mode? Promiscuous mode is mainly for packet analyzing purpose we'll use. If we enable this option, it will start analyzing the packets from let me cancel here. If you see this diagram, virtual diagram, if we enable the promiscuous mode option, it will start analyzing the packets from whatever the VM start communicating from VM to any destination VM. All the packets will be captured when we enable a promiscuous mode. And forged transmit mode main purpose is it's only when we enable the promiscuous mode, forged transmit mode, whatever the traffic is coming from virtual machine to external node, which network is going to connect and which switch is connecting, all the outbound traffic is taken care by forged transmit. It will capture those information. And MAC address changes is nothing but a, if you want to if you are changing any MAC address changes on a guest OS level or VM level, all the inbound traffic MAC address changes information is captured by this option. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is it possible to convert ISO file into OVF file?
ISO file to OVF file. ISO means generally it's a image file only.
Yes.
So when, for example, in our vCenter server, let me connect to our lab system. Say, let's say, for example, I downloaded our vCenter Server software. This is our vCenter software. This is a disk image file. Disk image file means if I select the vCenter Server, go to the properties, we can see this is a extension for disk image file is .iso. OVF file is like it's a open virtual format file. Using OVF file, if you want to make the OVF file to ISO, we can make it. Okay, but ISO, if you want to make it as OVF, generally it's a extension is virtual format only. For example, if I try to mount this ISO, already we mounted recently. Let me eject this one. Now again try to mount this ISO. Right click here, mount this ISO. When I mount this ISO file, inside the ISO file only, we can capture our OVF file. But vice versa, if you want to do OVF to, if you want to make it as ISO, we can use the third-party tool to make it as a ISO file. There is some third-party tool like Neuro, any of the Magic ISO. These softwares we can use to make OVF to ISO. And ISO to OVF means we can just mount and open that OVF file. Even suppose in our vCenter, if I select the vCenter server, if I want to export my VM as a OVF, even that option also available. Right click the virtual machine. Here there is a option for export. So let's look for the export option. Export system logs, not this one. Or else select the host and clusters. Here, if you want to convert any of the virtual machine to ISO or OVF file, we can export. Or just go to the file, open virtual, deploy OVF template. We can deploy using the ESXi host. When we select this option, and also we have an option to import VM. This is also help you to import the VM from any of the remote location to here. Seems this new version, some of the options are bit segregated. We can also export the VM as a OVF.
Okay.
Or else single host we can check. Suppose in the single ESXi host, select the virtual machines, right click the VM. Yeah, see export with image. We can export this VM also as a OVF file. Right click here. We can choose two options, either normal export or you can export as an image. See, it's showing as export this VM as an OVF template with attached ISO. Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions? Any other questions? So just log into vCenter and start exploring all these features. Okay. So if no questions, that's it for today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye for now.